Homelessness 2.0, day 66. Realized I can't exactly be. I'm gonna try something here. I don't know how well this works. No, that's too far. That might be better. Okay. Let's try that angle for a minute. I don't know how well it's gonna work. I realized I can't totally become an alcoholic. Not yet, anyway. Because I've got a driving exam coming up next week. I've got to go to the actual, I got to go to the school itself, and then I've got to go. We're going to drive from the school to the DMV. So I got to get my $280 worth out of it, and then do some. This is what I was thinking of. Practice driving in the process. Get accustomed to it, do the basic stuff that I need to do. Heat up. Oh, damn it. Well, at least there's a sink here. I put all my stuff back in storage, so I'm not working with optimal equipment. And this is the biggest pot that I can use except for that one. And I really don't want to have to use that for basic everyday stuff. I might just go to storage and get mine, since it's a 4-quart. It's a nice little workhorse. We'll see. Ah, shit. So let's try to dial this one in, both heat and pressure, because it kind of feels like, it reminds me of, God, I hate these stupid, I don't know why we have to have little lightweight, relatively see-through curtains in the kitchen. I don't get it. Either open it and have windows, or close it and nobody sees in or out. Not some weird middle ground. And they're so light that they just, they're blowing the breeze. It's like, those crappy, what is it? It's like those really bad shower curtains. The ones that the moment you turn on the shower, it's like, hey, I'm gonna give you a hug. Like, no, I don't want a fucking hug from my shower curtain. I want my shower curtain to stay put. And the little magnets rarely ever help. It's like, I want a heavy curtain so that it stays in place. That, the point of a curtain is to cover something, right? So you shouldn't want your curtain to just willy-nilly uncover or to not stay in its place. Right? I mean, that's my thinking. But yeah, this is the biggest pot that I've got at the moment. And so it's going to have a hard time. Oh, Jesus. And the knob was pretty stuck there for a second, so I ended up having to dial it back again. This is definitely like an older, but in a lot of ways more powerful stove from what I can tell than the last one. Slightly bigger. But at the same time, it wasn't really taken care of either, it would seem. But yeah, I can't become an alcoholic just yet. I don't know if I ever will become one. There's times in my life, sometimes it's, times of trouble, and sometimes it's not, where I just start drinking regularly. And then I stop. And then I start again at some other point in my life. Sometimes it's because I just feel like it. And it's convenient. And sometimes, I ain't thinking about it. It's like anything else that I do. Really. That's the funny thing. It's just like anything else that I do. When when I do something, I get interested into it, I get interested in it, and then I do it for a while, and then I get bored of it. And I stop doing it. Whether it's cooking for myself or not cooking for myself. If it's going for walks, or if it's playing video games, or whatever it is, or if it's watching movies. Now, if I'm playing video games, I'm probably not going to be watching movies much. Because it's taking up, playing video games can take up a lot of time. And also, when I'm playing video games, I usually have something on in the background. TV show, YouTube channel, something like that. One thing I've read it a couple of times because it gets spread around the internet, but I believe it was somebody recalling what their therapist had told them, and that people who experience trauma tend to rewatch the same shows over and over again because there is certainty in it. There's a lack of unexpected stuff. And so that certainty gives them comfort. Now, is that to say that everybody who does that behavior is suffering from PTSD? No. But it seems to be a common trait amongst people who have experienced PTSD. And, I just started rewatching Gravity Falls again for, it's been over 2 years, I think, something like that. I don't even remember when I started watching Gravity Falls. I do know that when I did start watching it, it was back when I was in the first apartment that I had here in LA. And the reason I know that is because used to be I would completely skip over the intro. And also, back when I was living in that first apartment, often I would have my computer running with all the various TV shows that I had watched. I still haven't caught up on Bob's Burgers, for instance. Bob's Burgers is still running constantly, and it's a great show. It's an awesome show. I've enjoyed every minute of watching it. In fact, there were points when I was at that old apartment where that's all I would watch was Bob's Burgers. I would finish watching whatever season and I would add it to a playlist, and then when I would go to bed, I would just have it play. Well, the reason, again, that I know that Gravity Falls was at least something that I started back at that time is because before I went to jail, I had made a video that then blew up while I was in jail. I had edited the intros of Gravity Falls and Rick and Morty together. And in the time between when I uploaded it and then when I got back out of jail, it had garnered over 1 million views. When I first uploaded it, I want to say I uploaded it around, because it was 2017, I want to say it was around April 1st. I think it may have been later, I'm not sure. But it was before the season restarted, technically. Because the season restarted right about the time that I got out of jail. And that, I want to say about a week, or somewhere between a week or less than a week before the season started is when it blew up, I believe. I could actually go look at the analytics and do a bit of cross-checking to make sure, fact-checking and whatnot, but I think that's the case. Yeah, one of the reasons I have a bigger pot, especially when cooking stuff like this, is that chicken and bacon both have quite a bit of water in them, especially chicken. If they water cool. chicken instead of air cool it. And so to drive off the water, having more surface area means more area for the water to evaporate from. But it is a good idea to have, you know, a high-walled saucepan if possible. Now this, I think, is just a 2-quart. A 4-quart is kind of ideal for a lot of stuff. Like if you're gonna get one saucepan and only one saucepan, try to get a high-quality 4-quart. If possible, you know, stainless steel, something relatively heavy, especially a heavy bottom. Mine is, the one that I've got is aluminum. Heats up quickly, cools down quickly. It doesn't retain heat very well. But because it's aluminum, it's more responsive to heat changes for the most part. There's pluses and minuses when it comes to the metal that, you know, a piece of stovetop equipment is you know, what it's made of. There's no one ideal material. That's why, like, you know, especially these days, they're trying to create all these different various composite forms. Like, if you can get one that's got a ceramic lining, that's pretty cool. But the thing about ceramic is that it also takes a little while to heat up. But then when it does heat up, it tends to retain heat. That's why, like, in certain instances, you don't want a glass casserole, but in some cases, you do want a glass casserole. Because of not only how it heats up, but also how it retains heat. And if you're gonna go, more than anything though, I would say, like, if you're getting one pot, it's because you don't have a lot of money. So you want something big, so that you can either make a big meal that's gonna expand throughout the day, or you can cook enough food in it and then replace it with something else later, so that you can cook that thing and so on, because you're doing a lot of meal prep for like a week or something. I'm gonna get something to drink. I'm gonna make me a drink, in fact. Coke, lime, Malibu. See, this thing just kind of sits there. The other one would retract back. I like putting my, you should be able to see that. I like putting my sponge there because capillary action and gravity will allow the water to drain out, and it gets pretty dry. These I don't really like too much because the holes don't, and it's also airflow. Like, it's almost the only space that it's not automatically touching the air is wherever it's sitting on the bridge. Ugh. I left a fan on above, the overhead fan, last night, so it's kind of dry. Oh, whatever. You know, the sad part is, like, the meat is mostly cooked through, but you don't want to just cook through your meat. What you also want to do is drive off as much water as possible so that you can get some browning going. Because then when the browning goes, when you have browning, then you get more flavor. Crispy edges, all that good stuff. I'm not personally aware of what exactly the Maillard reaction is. I know there's a lot of chefs out there who do and don't know. I don't know exactly who they are that know. But like, it's the reason why you will put a fat of some kind of butter, oil, whatever, into a lot of things, because it helps create better surface area. So like, Adam Ragusa did a great video. I think he was cooking Brussels sprouts, maybe? Also, I think he was just cooking Brussels sprouts. He may have cooked something else, but I think it was just Brussels sprouts. And in the video, he was covering why you would, cover, like vegetables, for instance, in oil. And I don't usually drink this, straight away. It depends. And sometimes my pour is a little heavier than on some days than others. Like yesterday's was a little bit on the heavier side. That's also one thing too. Like I don't like the flavor of most alcohols. You can say vodka is flavorless. I haven't tasted one that says otherwise, or that confirms it rather. I guess what I could do. Oops. See, I don't have any. Well, I kind of do, actually. I don't know exactly how. I couldn't find a damn box of elbow macaroni anywhere. It was really awkward. Like, all of the macaroni, all of the pasta that I saw at the store, 90% of it was rigatoni. Now, I don't have a problem with rigatoni. It's just that it's not what I was after. I'm trying to go for roughly a quarter of a box. Yay. Cup of pasta. Don't shred your gums, kids. But now, if you compare this to my opening shot, you will definitely note a difference in color. Let me get down here real quick. Note how golden and brown and reddish and pinkish everything is. Looks great. Alright. It's pretty much done. So there's a lot of fat in here. Because, there's the bacon, there's the chicken fat, and then there's the butter. There's always throw some butter in here. Now, it's not going to be the best sort of po' boy meal because I'm not going to have anything else to throw in it other than just salt and pepper and nutritional yeast, which, by the way, goes really well with popcorn. I learned that trick from Carla Lally Music. She's got a book. It's called That Sounds So Good. And I don't know if it's just, it's like, hey, here's this meal, blah, 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 blah. Oh, that sounds so good. Or if it's, hey, here's this meal, and then you take a bite out of it, and it's got this nice crunch to it, and you're like, wow, that sounds so good. It's a great title for a book, really. Because, even if it's just those two potential reactions, they both work so well. So Carla, your book called That Sounds So Good. It sounds so good. Yeah, this is pretty much done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill the heat. I'm going to transfer this over to the bowl while it's over the sink, just in case I spill or drop something on myself or whatever. And then that's just going to sit because it's still going to be nice and warm. And then I'm going to leave whatever's in it because that's going to help flavor the pasta. I can't go crazy with this the amount because it's just a small pot. Okay, this might only just be a single cord. I'm not sure. It feels so much smaller than my last one. Actually, I'm almost certain this is a single quart, not a 2-quart, because the 4-quart pan that I have burning off a little bit of that bacon fat, bacon and chicken and milk fat. Because the other pot that I was using was bigger than this one, of course. But the pot that I have, that I bought, that was a 4-quart, is definitely bigger than the other one I was using. And I'm almost certain that it would contain 4 of those. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to storage. I might go today, I don't know. I doubt it, but we'll see. But I'm going to try. What day is today? Is it Wednesday already? I think so. Tomorrow's the 6th. The anniversary of the FBI and Antifa storming the castle somehow. Or not the castle, the Capitol, whatever. It seems to be the reigning theory of conspiracy theorists at this moment. And so it's a week away from the driving test. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go get my pot, and then I'll do a literal, like, physical experiment where I'll, like, fill this up, and then I'll dump water into the other pot. So I'll fill this up with water, dump it into the other pot, fill it up, and then see how many times that takes. It might be a 1.5, doubt it, but we'll see. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, I'm mostly just kind of banking on this whole driving thing because I don't... As much as I'd like to continue living in LA, I don't see it being a practical goal right now. I don't have a job, so I don't have anything tying me here. Very much don't want to work. I know I gotta run out of money sometime, and then I gotta figure out how to get money. Who knows? I don't know. This whole thing is frustrating. You know, I got out of this. I started it with the hopes that I would just get things done. But one thing that I continually fail to remember is that it's not just some sort of go-getter attitude. That is one very big problem, not only with the country that I live in, America, the United States, but how the people also respond. It's like, there's so much brainwashing that's going on in this country. And I know that sounds like some conspiracy bullshit too, and I get it. But think about it this way. Actually think about it this way for a second. There are people who will every day tell you you can do anything if you set your mind to it. There are people like that all over the world. But what they either fail to understand, miss, or otherwise just don't know, I guess you could say that's the same as failing to understand, whatever, is that just because you want to do something does not mean that the things that are set up will let you do it in a way that you understand or that you need done. You have to do it the way that it is set up in a very specific when. And that makes doing it difficult for some people, myself included. It's like, the best way to find housing in Los Angeles is not to go online. It's not. You know what is? Driving around, looking for places. Like, it's 2022, in fact, 2022. The internet has been around for nearly 30 years. Came out in, I believe, April of '93. And somehow we have not figured out how to list every possible open house that there is. Like, how hard is it to take your cell phone, take a couple of photos, and post it on Craigslist or rent.com or apartments.com or whatever? Why is it that people gotta come over and make phone calls? Like, why do people gotta drive around looking for phone numbers and vacancies and shit like that? In this modern world, it makes zero fucking sense. It's literally one of the stupidest things. It wastes gas. It wastes time, because you have to drive to a place. Now sure, driving isn't exactly a time-consuming thing, but when I can check for a place in downtown LA and then move all the way to Santa Monica in literally seconds, it is a waste of time. Because now I've spent time driving to this other location. I spent gas, which means I spent money, but it also means I spent clean air. I don't remember what the time was to cook on this. But cooking the box is right here. Jesus, 12 minutes. Where's the timer? Good. All right, cool. That was a little easier to handle than the last one. The last one was kind of a pain in the ass. It seemed less intuitive. Plus, like, it had fewer overall buttons. This is a nice little Sunbeam, you know, probably, I don't know, 40 bucks at Walmart or something. It's reminiscent of the last one I had, in fact. I'm not sure how to check the, oh, there's power level, okay. I'll have to figure that one out. What I want to do is I need to go back to the store. And I need to get the pot pies so that I have something to just pull out, pop in, throw in, and then just, you know, do the thing. And then I'll also be able to determine the use of the what you call power settings. Let's have a little stirry stir here. That piece of chicken kind of felt like it was a little on the dry side, but no. It could have just been because it was on the top. Nah, it's still good though. Hard to ruin dark meat. Dark meat's great when it comes to chicken. Like, you can effectively overcook it and it's still good. Like, I learned that from Adam Ragusa too, and then I started practicing it, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Now, I'll say the benefit of something like rigatoni versus, spaghetti is that you don't have to have such a huge pot for it. Still, it's going to be interesting trying to, heat it all together. But we'll see. Should be doable anyway. It's just going to require a little bit more finesse. But yeah, it's a pain in the ass to try to find housing out here because, like, there's so few listings that are even, one, affordable. But two, it's like, okay, I have to drive somewhere. Then I have to find a phone number. Then I have to call that phone number. And hopefully it's going to be in my budget. Like, why is that a thing? Again, the internet has been around for nearly 30 years. We've had time to figure this shit out. The average person has a cell phone that can take photos, that can be uploaded to pretty much any website. I could take a photo of, like, this whole place 50 times if I felt like it. Yet there's so many listings that don't have photos, that don't really describe the actual unit itself. It's like state-of-the-art appliances, and then you see no photos of them. Well, I don't give a fuck what you say. And then, of course, there's the scams that, do show you some stuff, and they do describe stuff, and then you talk to that person, and then they're like, I need you to sign a lease today because you sound like you're a really responsible person. And then, yeah, we can't show you today because I'm not in town, and neither is the landlord. Sorry, bro, I'm out. Shit ain't happening. It's so annoying. It's so dumb. Now, I don't know how it's like in other cities, because it's also a little bit more on the difficult side, because then, what if you actually need to go see the place? I know some places are not even doing physical tours. So that right there, and I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but that has opened up the possibility of more scams, of more people saying, hey, we can't do tours, blah, blah, blah. There's one, I think it was like, I've seen it a couple of times in Buffalo, where it's like, we're not doing virtual tours, but if you go to our YouTube page, you can watch it. Nuh-uh. No. I'm not watching pre-recorded footage of a space. I want the person that I'm talking to either with me in the space or in the fucking space itself. Because, and especially because I still live out here. Like, if I followed through on all that, I was like, oh, I'm gonna, look at this either virtual tour thing, or I'm gonna look at this, pre-recorded footage, and okay, no, it's a pretty good spot. Like, first of all, why do you have furniture in it? Stop putting furniture in places that are gonna be vacant. There's no point. I want to see the space for what it will be, so that I can put furniture in it. The only things that need to be in the space are appliances like stoves and refrigerators and sinks and microwaves, whatever. And preferably dishwashers. I mean, look at all this space. More, again, a dishwasher could go right here. Because, this is a small place. It doesn't need much. Now you might be saying, well, with a dishwasher, if it's such a small space, why would you need a dishwasher? Because there's not enough stuff. Maybe, but it all depends on what you're doing with it too. Dishwashers in general are just more efficient. They're more energy efficient, they're more water efficient, they're more time efficient. Tell you one thing, I'm actually hot right now. I've got the heater set at 76. I've got my heater blowing. Actually, I might turn that down a little bit. I got my tiny heater blowing, which is helping to add more heat into the circulation. Because the other heater on its own really doesn't do a whole lot. It helps, but combination, and then having the ceiling fan turning, blowing, has helped too. And of course, now with the actual stove on. You know, they say if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Well, maybe you should change the kitchen too, because I see a future with more induction burners than either electric or gas, because they're safer overall. They're more responsive. In fact, Mergusio talks about it as well. He's done a great job covering a lot of these things. And I mean, he doesn't just talk about him. He doesn't just talk out of his ass about him either. No. He does a great job utilizing his journalism background and the connections that he made as a journalist to get this information. By the way, drinking alcohol doesn't make you warmer, it makes you feel warmer, it makes you think you're warmer, because it dilates your blood vessels, allowing greater blood flow. But it doesn't actually cause an internal heat boost, if you will. And the burn that you feel when you consume, especially when you consume straight alcohol, be it through a shot or if you're drinking something like whiskey or whatever, the burn is not the alcohol itself. You know what it is? And I'm not talking about the sting, like if you had poured it on a wound or something like that. No, the burn, the heat that you feel, is your own body heat. Your own body heat is what makes you uncomfortable and where that burn comes from. That heat comes from. Because alcohol effectively changes your ability to sense heat and makes you more sensitive to it. That's a fun fact. Straight up, fun fact. For whatever reason, it just sounds like it got really quiet. Like, there's just a lack of din. It felt noisy, now it doesn't feel noisy anymore. It's weird. How much time do I got left? Oh, did it already go off? Fuck, I didn't even hear it. Shit. Well, overcooked pasta for the win. Let's get out the slotted spoon. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna get a massive amount of pasta water, but wow, these got kind of big. The amount of pasta water that I'm going to acquire from doing this will probably be sufficient enough to help emulsify the starches from the water and the fat. Probably just because like that's I mean obviously there's like some bacon fat and whatnot. Oh, there it goes. That's weird. I don't know why the timer wasn't counting down, but hey, I didn't overcook it, which is good. And then on top of it, well, that's all I can think of. Yes, this is a lot. Shit. I still want to kind of. I still want to continue cooking it just a little bit. For how hot it gets. And my other finger, like my thumb, seems to be just fine. Like, it's barely any kind of sensitive. There doesn't seem to be any kind of discoloration. I mean, nothing about it seems... It's like I didn't even hurt myself. It's only been a couple of days, which is really weird. But that's funny. I'm actually kind of surprised. Anyway, oops. Turn on low just a little bit. Yeah, because there's a lot in here, and I mean, like, this is basically a day's worth of food. But I got no like sauce or anything. I could use one of these marinara packets, I guess. I want to save one of them for grilled cheese, though. I guess I could just throw one in here. It's whatever. Domino's marinara sauce packet for the win. Ain't much. It doesn't really taste that great, but it's whatever. Oops. It's where a spoon or a knife usually comes into play. And since there's both of those in here, might as well get one. I want to get all of that. And it's only a light coating, of course, because I mean there's not much in here. It's only like, what, 2 ounces maybe? But I think I'm done with this video. I'm getting kind of sweaty in this outfit with all the heat. Like, it's nothing like the first day I was here when it was just so cold that like I had gone to get up and pee, and by the time I came back, I was just shivering. And it wasn't necessarily, post pee shiver. I mean, that may have something to do with it. I don't know. I still don't even know why we do that. Look into it. Gotta admit, post pee shiver feels pretty good. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and heat this up a little bit. Have fun.